time for another round of Brandy. Candid conversations over cocktails about all things brand with your hosts, Reilly Newman and Scott Saunders, the brand developers behind Motif Brands.
Welcome back to another round of Brandy.
Welcome.
How would you feel if your business did 90% of its sales between Labor Day and Halloween?
That's a bulk of work, but it doesn't last year round. You got to be selling a lot to be able to just do that.
That is very odd for any business to have a concentration like that, where you have not only just the seasonal demand, but all the logistics, everything that would go along with that to then supply that demand, which is insane.
Yeah. But we are on a topic of it's fall. It's Halloween is coming around the bend. And we got to talking, Reilly and I got to talking about just the business model, the idea of pop-ups. And I think that's what we're going to kind of lean into, is this idea of the pop-up. I mean, you think about it, it's like even back to like the frontier days, right? Even like in the 1800s, right, with the expansion of the West and all these small little towns popping up all over the place. And you would have some guy that would roll in for the weekend, with a wagon, and he's got wares that he's selling to the townsfolk. And I know a lot of that kind of has a negative stigma. You hear about the whole snake oil salesman, right? They were con men and stuff. We're not talking about that, but we're talking about people that literally were nomadic, but they had a ware, whether it was furs or whatever they did, right? Gardening tools. Guy comes in, rolls in town, wagon full of gardening tools because that's what he makes. He sells them and he rolls on, moves on down to the next town.
It always reminds me of in Sweeney Todd. There's a guy, a con man, who goes around, he's selling this elixir that helps people's hair grow. And if you know Sweeney Todd, it's a Halloween, darker movie and musical.
Cool. Yeah.
And so that actually takes us into Spirit Halloween being kind of the kingpin of pop-ups.
It is. Time of year when all of a sudden you see Spirit of Halloween banners popping up on the marquees for a retail commercial lot, and all of a sudden you see the banners. It's getting to be that Halloween time.
Well, it's crazy because, like I said earlier, it's like 90% of their sales happens between Labor Day and Halloween. So that's just like slam dunk, nonstop right there. And that goes to account for the 1,500, actually over 1,500 stores they open across North America during that time. And that is insane. If you think about how much pre-planning, all those leases, everything that goes into making that happen, and probably just moving the inventory. I don't know how you would even...
And here's what's great about their model is that with Spirit of Halloween is that they have a website that you can buy anything year round. Because there are occasions where all of a sudden someone's like, oh, New Year's, you're having a costume party or mask ball or whatever.
There's always
it may not be spooky, scary stuff, but costuming in general. And so they provide that, and they obviously have massive warehouses, but their products don't, for the most part, with the exception of maybe like some makeup items, they have a very, very long shelf life, if anything, right? It's a good model. It actually has been around since 1983. Here's a little history. This guy, John Marver, started this. He had a women's boutique. It was called Spirit Women's Discount Retail. And he sold women's clothing in his store. But around Halloween, he would actually move his inventory and then fill it with costuming stuff for Halloween. And that seemed to do pretty well. And over the course of it, he set up his first one in 1984, his first like retail store, kind of as a pop-up. And over the course of like the next decade, he ended up having 60 locations across the country that would pop up, and he would do this thing. And then in 1999, Spencer Gifts, massive company, bought him up. In fact, they even announced last year Spirit of Halloween is also going to follow the same business model, but for Christmas. So now it's Spirit of Christmas.
I love that.
And they opened up a couple, I forget how many stores, there were, I think 5 or 6 that opened up as a test stop last Christmas season.
Which would be incredible, because then you look at Halloween as a growing industry, is that it's, I thought it was 13 billion, 14 billion. I don't know if that's predicted, but the Spirit Halloween is absorbing a lot of that, probably over 10% right now. And it continues to grow. They pull in over 50,000 temporary employees during that time, which again is crazy. They average a 3-month lease, which if they're doing the Christmas thing, they're probably just going to extend that lease, a couple months, and that's going to knock down their costs. And just it's really just such a cool model. But Scott and I were talking about it because we both are lovers of Halloween and the vibe and everything. And Spirit Halloween has always fascinated us because it comes and goes, and it's like we were even talking about. It is like this circus, like this event that
it comes
rolls into town, sets up shop, and then everyone goes there, and then it's done.
And we see this too. We see this like with Christmas tree lots, right?
Yeah.
It's that idea of rolling in, and all of a sudden that vacant lot on the corner there downtown, that all of a sudden it's fenced in, and all of a sudden, boom, there's trees. There's an RV. They got some trailers, and they're unloading trees, and they're selling, and then boom, Christmas is done. They're gone. Yep. It reminds me too, like you mentioned the circus. If the circus rolled into town, it kind of has a draw. But if it had a permanent setup, I don't know that it would have that constant year-round draw. Kind of like our fair. We have the California Mid-State Fair in our town, and for a week and a half or 2 weeks, whatever it is, it draws people from all over. If they were open year-round, I don't know. It gets stale. It loses its appeal.
And I think that's part of it. Is that even with the fair, it's like people commonly say, "Oh, it's fair season," right? They understand that it's a certain limited time. It's a limited time offer, which LTOs, limited time offers, work super well. Everything from Taco Bell to even at Target and stuff, they'll do limited time offers, and that works really well. So there's something about that scarcity that we like. And when you think about even what I love about Spirit Halloween is just the inherent theme of it. Is that you have a whole store that's focused on just selling a theme. And that's what, again, we've talked about on our last episode with private labels, is that what Target, Walmart, Costco, all these brands have done, where they focus on a specific theme and then sell the heck out of it. And Spirit, though, is completely focused on this. Yes, it's seasonal. Yes, it's a holiday. But at the end of the day, it's still a theme that then is inherently relevant to what they're preparing for, right? Is that something's coming up, they're getting ready for it. And so then there's that, it's automatically relevant, which then makes it automatically valuable to the consumer.
And in the terms of like even small, I'm thinking of like small little when I say pop-ups are really popular right now, it's like, yes, Spirit of Halloween, that's a different, it's a pop-up retail business model. But we're also talking about like even little pop-ups, like for instance, in our town, we have a little olive oil company. They sell olive oil. They make their own olive oil. And they sell, and they have a little olive oil tasting room. Well, they have a little winery pop-up that kind of is there in the corner, and they've got their little table, but it's a pop-up. It's not, they're collaborating. It's a collaboration. I know that's a big thing too. And with a lot of business models now is collaborating with other things. Those are the things this is good from a branding standpoint too, because as pop-ups, it allows you to find where your common demographics are with other businesses that already have a pull, and allowing you to kind of step into that pond for a little bit and try to introduce your brand to a different set of customers that maybe wouldn't be through your normal channels.
Yeah. So in my mind, we have these two sides of the coin. You have the inherently nomadic brands, right? This is your circus,
like Spirit of Halloween.
Spirit. Yeah. This is your fairs. Even Warby Parker at one point was inherently nomadic. Yes, digital and online, but nomadic. Then you have the other side of the coin, where you have inherently physical brands they have storefronts, they have a presence beyond just online, and then they can do little pop-ups here and there. And so the big difference here is that when you do have the sacrifice of frequency, when you are just nomadic and you're not always present, then you are sacrificing that frequency for the novelty of you rolling into town and popping open shop and going like, here I am, right? And setting up the circus and putting on the show for everyone and then leaving town. On the other hand, you can supplement, if you are like an existing brand, you can supplement that frequency of having a storefront with some of these cool, novel, pop-up and unique experiences. And I even saw, I think Austin Hope, a winery in Paso Robles, did a really cool tasting room experience at the fair that was all themed, and it had a whole vibe to it, and they went all out where they leaned into this theme, and it made it much more experiential. It would have been boring and not as appealing if it was just like, okay, we'll take our tasting room and let's just open it like this over here. And
like I guess what we're saying is like if you've got a retail store, having a pop-up somewhere, with a new business, and literally just taking your product off the shelf, and there's no, it's a store extension. That's not what we're talking about.
Yeah, and what's really interesting about it is that, you've had brands that we've seen grow up from Warby Parker to Casper, which is like the online mattress thing, and they were all digital, and they do little pop-up shops here and there, And then now they're actually rolling out with full physical storefronts because now they have that traction. So they're kind of making the leap the opposite way, where they're going from, circus nomadic life to then to actual frequency of having a storefront and you have foot traffic. On the other side of it, if you do have these more frequent brands, so if you do have like a storefront or a tasting room where you're actually there permanently and you're trying to create these moments that are more exciting, they extend the brand into a different context of a pop-up shop. So if you were, a local storefront and you wanted a farmer's market booth, you wouldn't just verbatim bring your products over and open up a farmer's market booth, but you would actually go, okay, under the theme or the guise of farmer's market, people are shopping in a certain mode. How do I lean into that? How do I make my brand fit into this context? And that's going to give it not only the relevancy of proximity, which is the benefit of a pop-up shop, but also the unique kind of novelty it needs to stand out and make that experience. And I think that's where it's like you have to realize with these things, if the theme is inherent, like with Spirit Halloween or maybe a private label like what Target does, then that value is built into that theme because it's already leaning into what someone's looking for. And on the other hand, if you're actually opening a pop-up shop and doing it under like your brand and you need to tailor it to something to make it more special, to then make it more relevant with it being close to someone or maybe in a different, location and being unique and experiential. Like I said, with Austin Hope, they were pouring wine out of like watering cans.
Oh, that's weird.
Yeah, they had full, because the whole thing was like
really?
garden. Yeah, it was all garden themed. They had all these overgrown hedges and stuff like that. And you go in and it's like,
okay, but
they cleaned them and stuff. They weren't.
But I know they're clean, but have you ever, hypothetical, you know how like you drink out of a hose? It has
I love
a
drinking out
metallic
of hose.
taste, right? Because it's coming.
No, it's rubber.
but like
the added benefit to doing this, a pop-up shop, is that you can go just like good old Spirit Halloween, is that you're going with the ebb and flow of the season or your industry and the market and the demand of it. Is that, as you know, with any business, you're going to have lulls in the market. And one great example of this is that my daughters do ballet, and there's a certain point as a ballerina where you get your point shoes. You have to be a certain age and have certain muscle development to get your point shoes. Point shoes, I think, are like $100, $150 or something like that. But they must be custom made to your feet and all this stuff, right? It's kind of like a graduation. Like it's kind of a big deal for a ballerina. And so there's this brand I found out about where these women have this super cool like trailer thing that's all modded, and they go from dance studio to dance studio across the West Coast, and they set up shop, and it opens up. There's mirrors inside. There's all these cool merchandise, and a girl can go, if she's ready to get her point shoes, and go get them custom made from these women who are tailors and all of that, and they get that experience. And so these women obviously realize, wherever we are, it's not like you're going to have girls needing point shoes nonstop
year round.
Yeah, that's unless you're maybe having in the heart of LA,
ballet shoe retail store.
Yeah, it would be very like, and most for other ballet shoes, you just get them online. There's plenty of brands. But to get a point shoe that's custom made, you need to go to someone who knows what they're doing. And so I thought it was quite brilliant, and just the experience of it was really cool. And I could see in the girls who were ready to get their point shoes, they were so excited. It was and it was literally a pop-up shop.
A passage for them.
Yeah, and I was like, this is brilliant. Like, this is so cool. I need to actually look them up and see what their name was. But again, that was a genius idea to create an experience, and it was a special moment. And I think they gave the girls little things when they were getting their point shoes. It was like they made it into a thing. And then
now you said they were selling merch too. Were they also like upselling, like not upselling, but like other things that ballerinas would use? They were also trying to like.
Yeah, I think they had like stretch bands, and all stuff like that, and probably some like sweats and stuff. But the genius of then them being able to go from market to market, just like Scott was saying, of back in the day, the guy pulling in with his wagon,
1800s, rolling into town,
and start selling elixirs and stuff, and giving this really cool experience that also provided immense value to the families that need that specific thing. And I was like, there's something there that I think we can apply, but really looking both ways. This doesn't mean you need to close your storefront and just go like completely nomadic and go from town to town, but go, okay, how can I supplement my frequent constant storefront with this added value of it's novelty.
Right. But I also, and one of the key components, and this may not, we see this a lot of times, and it's something we preach on the mountaintops about brand and perception and its customer experience, is that how much your staff or you are such a spokesperson for the brand. That when you do have a pop-up, I've seen pop-ups where literally they will have someone, a shop owner go, oh, she's gonna have a little pop-up, and one of their employees, hey, I need you to work Saturday at this pop-up, and they might pick someone on their team that maybe doesn't have the highest, most outgoing personality. Maybe they're more timid. Maybe they're not really good at selling. And so it's more like a kind of a silent presence of like, oh, hey, here's a little table. I've got stuff on here. If you're interested, you'll come up and talk, as opposed to someone. And that's different than, you don't want that one, out in the hallways going, they're not trying to like pull the crowd with gimmicky stuff. It's not, but having warm, personable people that are great to talk to, that are easy to talk to, that are outgoing, that can go, hi, how are you doing? You having a good, enjoying your shopping? Great. And they're not trying to oversell, but if you're going to have a pop-up, there's high value. And like Reilly was saying, it's an experience that you're creating. Make sure you put your best people on those times, because those are the people that are going to help connect your audience to the brand. Remember, brand is all about perception. And if someone has a great, engaging time at a pop-up and really, loves the person that's running the pop-up, that's a good, strong brand connection. Now, next time if they cross the brand, or next time the pop-up's available, they might engage again because you're building that brand following.
Yeah, yeah. And again, this isn't just farmers markets, but other applicable like context would be a trade show, right? Or something like that, where your company, you probably go to trade shows anyways, but you're being thrown into a contextual environment where you can kind of predict the people walking around who may be walking by your trade show booth, but being able to then go, okay, what can I do to lean into that? Like I said earlier, there's an inherent theme to that. You're all at the expo. You're all at the conference. There's a theme to that, just like at a farmer's market, and you can lean into that, and that's going to increase your relevancy to what they're actually looking for and them connecting with it. If they see that, if you're just completely yourself and or how you are in the store or at your headquarters or whatever, it's like that's not going to connect, because someone's going to go, oh, that's outside of what's going on here. But you can actually lean into more of that theme and add value by being more relevant and being more valuable in that way.
Yeah. It's funny too, because when I think of trade shows, I think a lot of times, when you go to a trade show, a lot of times people are just looking for freebies. There's the people that are walking around. They're just like, squeezer. What are you giving away? Right? They have that bag of swag when they walk out of a trade show, right? And we've had clients that we've had with well-meaning, but if you are going to be giving stuff away, think outside the box. There's an opportunity right there to be distinctive, right? In what you're giving out, what you're giving away, and know your audience. Who's going to be there? Give them offer them something that would actually be like applicable, or it's done in a creative twist or whatever. Don't just, oh, we're going to put our logo on pens, and then we're going to be handing out people pens as they walk by, and they're going to drop it in their trade show bag, and that's it. It's like, no, think outside the box. Be creative, be distinctive, just like you want your brand on all points to be distinctive and stand out.
Wrapping up, Spirit Halloween is a fantastic example of not only aligning with the market on the brand side and leaning into theme, leaning into experience, but on the business side, being completely really optimized and going, no, we're only doing temporary leases. We're, it's a big splash, and then we're out. That's highly optimized on the business front, where they're keeping their costs very low and keeping things very agile and nimble, but then being able to really hit grand slams when it comes to the brand and marketing side of it. And it reminds me of P.T. Barnum and what he would, the famous circus guy, right? Mm-hmm. How he looked at marketing and everything, and just putting on a spectacle for people that naturally draws people in. Because that guy was one heck of a marketer, and he would just create curiosity and draw people in, and he would just come and go.
Well, that movie, The Greatest Showman, wasn't that about Barnum?
Yeah. So Hugh Jackman.
Oh, it's about Hugh Jackman. No. Wait, he's P.T. Barnum? No.
He's the P.T. Barnum.
So yeah, that was a biopic. That's right. Anyway,
a musical biopic.
Yes. Anyway, so go visit your Spirit of Halloween. Enjoy the coming weeks as we are ramping up for Halloween, and everyone's kind of in the spooky, fun fall festive spirit. And but be mindful of this. And how can your business make use of the popularity and some of the conveniences and some of the ways of being unique through small opportunities with pop-ups.
Yeah, definitely. Well, until next time, thank you for listening.
Cheers.